Hey everybody, this is Dream, and today we're going to do our two breakdowns of the two showdowns today, the 16 versus 16 seed game between Farley Dickinson and Texas Southern, and then we'll do the 11 seeds Arizona State versus Nevada game as well. So we'll start with the 16 seed game first. So first we'll look at Texas Southern here. Now, I have Roberts and Nichols, one from each team, as your potential captain, and then I have two players I think are really good plays today. Otherwise, and both of those are for Texas Southern, I do expect Texas Southern to win this game, I think. And so I do like them a little bit better, despite the fact that they have a worse record. They just have a better scoring output and a little bit more balanced from that perspective. And I think that they also have a couple of guys that are going to be better. Though they do play a little bit deeper of a bench than Farley Dickinson does, I do kind of project them to be better in this game. With that said, from a matchup perspective, if I look at Jordan Carl Nichols, he's my top pick for a captain from this team. He has some ups and downs throughout the season, but one thing I do note about him is that he does tend to rebound pretty well. Aside from a couple games where he didn't play as many minutes due to fouls, he tends to have really good rebounding numbers, and he's just the best overall in the game when it comes to just like peripheral stats. There really isn't a ton of guys that do that, and he also scores pretty well. He's still averaging over 10 points per game, and he does play close to 30 minutes, so I do think he's viable here. The real only risk here is his foul situation, but I think he'll be fine in this game. The other guy I'm going to mention here for that slot is Dimitri Roberts. Now, he is for Farley Dickinson, and he's their leading scorer. He also tends to get some assists and rebounds as well, and some other stats, so I do think he's a good play. Obviously, he's very expensive, so that is a little bit of a drawback, but we do have a couple value guys who actually make sense today on these teams. But for Texas Southern, though, my top two like decent plays for in your core part of your lineup is going to be Davin Barnes. He's the leading scorer for Texas Southern. He also rebounds okay for a forward as well, and he has some good upside here in this matchup. He's been pretty consistent lately. His price is pretty good, so I do think he's one of the better options, especially just from a peripheral stat perspective and scoring perspective. He's just the best player that they have outside of Nicholas when it comes to that potential. And then we're going to look at Granger here for Texas Southern, Colby. Now, he's interesting today because he does have some ups and downs, but he's nearly minimum price at $2,600, and he does tend to play a decent chunk of minutes, and that's usually good enough for me here on this type of slate because he has some potential to play well. He does start too, which is nice, and really the biggest obstacle for him most games is foul trouble when he doesn't play many minutes, and so I look for him to play 20 to 25, maybe even 30 minutes in this game, and be a good payoff for a cheap play to help you pay up for other options. So that's pretty much what I have for this game. Obviously, figuring out like Henry or Singleton is going to be kind of difficult on the slate, but overall, there's definitely doable. I definitely recommend paying up though for either Roberts or Nichols for that captain spot. As for the other game here, we have Nevada and ASU. Now this game is going to be close as well. I do have, I believe, Nevada losing this game barely. I think the spread is 3 points, so I expect it to be relatively close as well. And then this particular game, Nevada tends to play a much less of a deep bench compared to Arizona State. Of course, they both play fairly similar type of lineups, but Nevada's players tend to get a little bit more minutes-wise. So my top picks for the captain spot are Blackshear for Nevada, who is their second leading scorer and their best overall talent when it comes to rebounds and assists. He does both pretty well. You could also argue Darian Williams, but I just thought that Keenan Blackshear was a better value based on the price, and so I thought he really pays off with the potential, especially because he's good at scoring, whereas Williams really wasn't that good at scoring. And then for Arizona State, for Frankie Collins here, he's averaging about 10 points per game this season, and he's basically just the best peripheral stat guy on the team. That's in that role as well. So he looks like a good spot here. Even if he doesn't shoot the ball well, which he doesn't sometimes, he still tends to get some decent fantasy points. So he's had some ups and downs. This is going to be an easier matchup for him than he has had a lot lately. And so I expect him to shoot the ball quite a bit in this game and have some upside. Then we're going to look at some of the other options. And I'm going to start with Devon Cambridge. He is the cheaper Cambridge brother. Now he has some nice upside in this game because of his price, and he's been playing really well as of late. He is inconsistent, but he's gonna have some good upside in this game. He's not playing UCLA or Arizona, so he should be good to go here. And he's played well this season, and he plays way above his price range for this game, especially with his ability to rebound and get points. And he's also shot the ball well all season long. And then for Nevada, we're gonna look at Jared Lucas there. For them. He's just their leading scorer overall. He doesn't get a ton of peripheral stats, so he is somewhat scoring dependent here, but he does have big time upside, and his price makes him very viable on the slate. He's cheaper than what I expected him to be when I first looked at this, just considering the fact that he's the leading scorer on the team, and he plays the most minutes. He's a great person to throw in your lineup. You could even argue putting him into the captain spot as well, but I still think he's better off being a utility player. So with that said, guys, that's what I have for this slate. I think both these games are going to be very close. Some good options available across the board and price ranges and stuff in at least one of the games. So I think it's a very good. Both of these showdowns are going to be pretty interesting, and there's a lot of different ways you can develop a good lineup. So with that said, guys, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, and have a nice day, guys.